Welcome to the React Data Grid component tutorial. In this video, I'll show you the different selection types supported by the Syncfusion React Data Grid, including single selection, multiple selection, and checkbox selection. I'll also cover selection persistence and conditional row selection. First, I'll open my existing React application where I have already added the basic code to render the Data Grid component. If you want to learn how to get started with the React Data Grid, check out the video linked in the card or description. I'll run the application using the command npm run dev. As you can see, the React Data Grid component renders. Row selection is enabled by default in the React Data Grid, and it uses single selection as the default behavior. In this mode, users can select only one row at a time. When I click on a row, it gets selected, and selecting another row automatically clears the previous selection. This is useful when an action needs to be performed on just one record. Next, let's look at multiple selection. To enable it, define a constant, selection options, and set the selection type to multiple. Then assign it to the grid's selection settings property. Now, we can select multiple rows by holding the Control key and clicking different rows, or by using the Shift key to select a range of rows. Now, let's move on to checkbox selection, which provides an easier way to select multiple rows. To enable checkbox selection, add a column directive by setting the type to checkbox and defining its width. As you can see, a checkbox now appears in each row. This allows users to select rows simply by clicking the checkboxes, without using any keyboard keys. Checkbox selection is especially useful for bulk operations and large data sets. Apart from the default selection modes, you can also use the Reset and Row Click selection mode. Enable this by setting the checkbox mode property to Reset and Row Click. Now, clicking on a row will clear all previous selections and select only the clicked row. Next is the persist selection option, which keeps selected rows intact even when the data state changes due to paging, sorting, or navigation. To enable this behavior, set the persist selection property to true within the selection settings options, and define the order ID column as the primary key using isPrimaryKey property. As you can see, when I select a row, the selection remains intact even when I navigate to another page. Rows stay selected until I explicitly clear or change the selection. This makes checkbox selection ideal when users need to review data and gradually build their selections. Checkbox selection also supports conditional row selection. In this example, I'll prevent users from selecting rows with the customer ID TOMSP. To control this, use the isRowSelectable callback, which determines whether a row can be selected based on its data. I define the isRowSelectable function, and inside this function, I return false for rows where the customer ID is TOMSP, then assign it to the grid's isRowSelectable property. Now, when the grid renders, rows with the TOMSP customer ID cannot be selected using either row clicks or checkboxes, while all other rows remain selectable. You can also pre-select a row when the grid first loads. To do that, set the selected row index property to the index of the row you want. When the grid renders, that row is automatically selected. Let me wrap up this video. In this video, I have shown you single selection, multiple selection, and checkbox selection, along with selection persistence, and conditional row selection in the Syncfusion React Data Grid. If you want to try out the example used in this video, download it from the GitHub link in the description below. I have also shared a link to learn how to obtain a free license key to use our React components through our community license if you are eligible. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel.